The crystalline halls of the Galactic Council chamber gleamed under artificial starlight, magnificent and cold. Eva stood in the defendant's circle, her wrists bound by energy shackles that hummed with alien technology. Around her, representatives from 47 species observed, with multifaceted eyes, sensor stalks, and consciousness fields. She was the first human to stand trial before the Council in its 12,000-year history. Judge Crowther loomed above her on the elevated platform, his chitinous exoskeleton reflecting the chamber's bioluminescent glow. The Xenari were an ancient race, their civilization predating human written history by millennia. They considered themselves the arbiters of galactic law, the enforcers of cosmic order. Human-designated Eva Chen, Crowther's translator device rendered his clicking mandibles into cold, mechanical words. You stand accused of violation of preservation. Protocol 7. You interfered with a Category 3, developing species on Kepler 44 to be. You shared advanced technology. You altered their evolutionary trajectory. Ava's jaw tightened. I saved them from extinction. You contaminated their development. Crowther slammed his primary limb against the Judgment Stone. The Galactic Council has maintained order for eons by adhering to the Prime Directives. No interference, no exceptions. They were dying, Eva said, her voice steady despite the fear coiling in her gut. A solar flare was going to sterilize their planet in 3 months. I gave them shield technology, basic stuff. They would have figured it out themselves in a few centuries. Irrelevant. The judge's compound eyes fixed on her with insectoid indifference. The law is absolute. The sentence is death by molecular dissolution. Immediate execution. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien vocalizations, some approving, others merely curious. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, barely a century since first contact. They were tolerated, not respected, certainly not considered equals. Eva felt the energy shackles tighten, preparing to teleport her to the execution chamber. Her mind raced. She thought of Liam, her partner, somewhere in the station's detention level. They'd been captured together during their unsanctioned relief mission. She wondered if they'd already killed him. Then something shifted in her chest, not fear, but rage. Cold, calculated rage. The thing about humans that the Galactic Council had failed to understand during their brief acquaintance was this: humanity didn't survive by following rules. They survived by breaking them when survival demanded it. Ava's fingers found the small device hidden in the seam of her uniform collar. Liam had slipped it to her during transport, a brief touch that the guards had missed. A human-designed EMP emitter, no bigger than a grain of rice. The galaxy's ancient races had grown complacent with their technology. Humans, desperate to catch up, had learned to improvise. She crushed it between her thumb and forefinger. The electromagnetic pulse was brief but devastating in the confined space. Every energy field in the chamber collapsed simultaneously. Her shackles dissolved. The lights died. Emergency systems stuttered and failed. In the darkness, Eva moved. Her instructors at Earth's Special Operations Command had trained her for scenarios just like this. The Xenari relied on their exoskeletons for protection, but those same shells made them slow, ponderous. Judge Crowther was still processing the system failure when Eva vaulted onto the judgment platform. She had a ceramic blade concealed in her boot-heelan, other gift from Liam. Passed during their all-too-brief moment of contact, ceramic didn't register on Xenari scanners. The ancient races had stopped worrying about primitive weapons millennia ago. Their mistake. Eva drove the blade into the seam between Crowther's head, carapace, and thorax. The judge's translator shrieked, then went silent. Ichor, not blood, sprayed across the crystalline floor. The backup lights flickered on. What the council delegates saw froze them in their seats. A human girl, barely 23 Earth years old, standing over the corpse of one of the galaxy's most powerful judges. Her blade dripped with bioluminescent fluid. Her eyes burned with something the ancient races had forgotten existed. Defiance. You want to talk about laws? Ava's voice carried across the silent chamber. Your preservation protocol condemned an entire species to death. 20 billion sentient beings with art, music, families. For what? So you could maintain your precious order. The Council's chief arbiter, a gaseous being named Velsar, materialized its consciousness into a vaguely humanoid form. This is unprecedented. You have murdered a council judge. The penalty is, let me guess, death. Eva laughed, bitter and sharp. You already sentenced me. What's the difference now? An explosion rocked the chamber. The far wall disintegrated in a blast of plasma fire. Through the smoke and debris, Liam appeared, flanked by 24 humans in combat armor. The rescue team from Earth's diplomatic frigate had arrived. "Sorry we're late," Liam called out, his weapon trained on the nearest guards. "Had to break out of your holding cells first. Terrible security, by the way." Eva leaped from the platform, rolling as energy weapons discharged where she'd stood moments before. Liam tossed her a pulse rifle. She caught it mid-roll and came up firing, providing cover as the team secured the exits. "Status?" she asked, falling into position beside him. "Frigates in position for emergency extraction." But Liam glanced at Crowthor's body. "You actually did it. You killed a council judge." He sentenced 20 billion beings to death with a stroke of his claw. Ava's expression hardened. "I just returned the favor." The firefight was brief. Humanity's weapons technology might have been primitive by galactic standards, but humans had spent their entire history perfecting the art of violence. The council guards, accustomed to civilized species that respected authority, were unprepared for the sheer aggressive efficiency of human combat tactics. Within minutes, the rescue team had secured the chamber and begun their retreat as they reached the extraction point. Velsar's voice echoed through the station's communication system. "This act of barbarism will not stand. Humanity will face consequences. We will bring the full weight of the Galactic Council against your species." Eva keyed the response channel. "You do that, but remember you declared war on the wrong species. We don't surrender, we don't bow, and we sure as hell don't let genocidal judges dictate morality to us." The frigate's engines roared to life. As Earth's ship tore away from the Council station, Eva looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on Kepler 4, for to be, 20 billion beings lived because she'd broken the rules. She'd slaughtered a judge, started an interstellar incident, possibly doomed her entire species to galactic war, and she'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because that's what humans did. They survived, they fought, they refused to accept that the universe's ancient powers knew better than basic human decency. The Galactic Council had sentenced a human girl to death. She'd taught them a lesson they'd never forget. Humanity doesn't go gentle into any night, cosmic or otherwise. End.